Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader, a podcast dedicated to discussing women's unique challenges in the tech industry. I'm your host, Limor Bergman Gross, and today I'm excited to bring you an inspiring conversation with Disha Mukherjee. Disha's story is one of resilience, strength, and incredible career growth. Disha has been diagnosed with endometriosis and undergoing multiple surgeries. But she didn't let her health challenges hold her back. Instead, she used those obstacles to fuel her drive to succeed and support her family when her father was diagnosed with cancer. In this episode, she shares how she made a bold career pivot from data analyst to data engineer, and also her courageous move from India to the UK, and her relentless networking efforts that landed her dream job. She also passionate about raising awareness around women's health issues and want to empower more women to pursue careers in tech. So, if you're navigating a tough career decision, or maybe you're looking for a motivation to overcome a personal challenges, this episode is packed with insights you don't want to miss. So let's dive right in. Hi, Disha. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you, Limor?
I'm pretty good. I'm very excited to have you here today and speak with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And we have a lot to talk about, but let's kind of, I wanted to, you shared with me on our pre call some of the challenges you face, both with your father, kind of a medical condition on yours. Do you want to share kind of the audience some
Yeah,
about it?
yeah, sure. In back October 2019, I had a sudden pain, and I was rushed to hospital after MRI and everything. I got to know that I have formed a gangrene around my small intestine, which caused to have a sudden operation. And during that MRI, we got to know that I have endometriosis also, but that was life and death situation, so they just treated the gangrene and didn't touched upon endometriosis. Later on, got to know that whatever happened with my health was due to endometriosis, and I had this issue for almost 8 9 years, and
Mm-hmm.
it was got undiagnosed for longest of time. And if you
Yeah.
have read the stats in UK, a normal patient with endometriosis gets their first diagnosis after 8 years of pain and whatnot. So I was in India and I was having such these scenarios. It was getting worse and worse year by year, but no one diagnosed it. They misdiagnosed it for longest time, which led to me having a life and death situation just because of one misdiagnosis.
Yeah, and very sorry to hear that. I mean, it's good that you diagnosed it, but obviously, not very easy. So, how has that impacted you?
It impacted me a lot because my life changed from 25 years old girl to going through all those surgeries one after another, taking it as it was going. I was not looking after that. Oh, I was not processing my pain at all. I was just going surgery after one another surgery. But everything happened, and I just took one day at a time for me in my life just to go through my life. But it also empowered me that my health is not the only thing which will stop me from chasing my dream. So you once I had that moment where I lost everything and then I got this life, I'm making most of it since then. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to flourish my career in my life. I pursue now hobbies which I were used to. So that motivated me to be a better human now.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, you mentioned to me also that alongside with your father condition, kind of led you to pursue your dream, and you were back then a data analyst, right? And you mentioned
Yeah.
me, oh, I realized I wanted to become a data engineer, and we're going to talk a little bit about the transition. So, can you share kind of uh, how was the thinking going, and how did you even start exploring that transition?
So one of the major motivation for me to move my career was financial aspect, because as you told the audience that my father got diagnosed with cancer, and then entire family responsibility came onto me. So one of the major reason was financial reason for that time, because that time frame was very complicated for me, because I just finished my surgeries, and 10 days later my father got diagnosed with cancer. I wanted to explore data, and data means back when I was graduating with engineering also. I always have keen for data. That's why I got my transition from technical support engineer to data analyst. And then when I looked everything around with data analyst role, I wanted to always know what is behind those data which is coming to me, why it is in
Mm-hmm.
this format. So my ambition was to move to engineering part of it later on, but first motivation was like it's now, not in next 2 years time, it was now. So that motivated me to move to data engineering. But learning and all which happened entirely during that time was what made me stay with my profile.
Yeah, so obviously you're, you know, around 25, right? I mean, you mentioned 25-year-old that just diagnosed with this disease, and your father, you know, being diagnosed, and you decided to make this major career change, right? I mean, so how did you kind of step up to becoming an engineer? Can you share a little bit?
Step up for I can guide you through what was my process.
Uh
So
huh.
I had an engineering degree altogether in my life. So I knew that what and how things goes with the
Mm-hmm.
thing I'd work. But there was a part of me which was happy with doing the data analysis work, but hap- not that happy. It was not making me fulfilled, because data comes in a very nasty manner, and I have to make reports out of it, which sometimes drives me crazy. Uh, and that was the major reason that I chose data engineering, because I really wanted to improve the data. But during the whole process of me going through surgeries, back to back surgeries, and my father's health, and me stepping into the uh, major shoe of my father, everything was kind of came one after another, and I didn't have chance to process those. So I was resilient all this time, and that was the way to it. Because sometimes when life throws something at you, either you can cry about it, or you can take it as something which you can admire later. So for me, that was a time where I didn't want to cry about those things. I just think like it is an opportunity to me to see more things which I was holding on for longest time. So I told you that once I was almost at the end of my life, it gave me perspective that I'm not making most of it. So
Mm-hmm.
when I got the chance to make most of it, I'm still doing it. I live
Yeah.
for myself, my career, and my family now.
Yeah, and this is very inspiring. And so basically, you're saying, despite all those challenges and all the things coming at you, you actually, it made you, seems like it made you stronger rather than
Yeah.
weaker,
Yeah.
and led you to realize that actually, because of all of those challenges and like being in a near death situation, you realize that you wanted to make the most
Yes.
out of your life.
Yes.
And now I know that you live in the UK.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, because you shared with me, and I think it's going to be interesting to the audience, about how you realized that you wanted to move out of India and how you decided where to move to and all that.
Oh, yes. So, as most of the Indians, they want to move to other parts of world. Sometimes it's for better life, better aspect of life. For me, it was always a dream that I wanted to move from away. Earlier, I was thinking Germany and Netherlands, but there was some cultural gaps, which it was very hard to fit as a expat who doesn't know anything about the country or any the culture. And on my list, it was three countries uh, apart from UK, which has English speaking thing. So it was Australia, Canada and US. For US, it was a no for me for longest time. I don't want to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
Australian border, when I started looking for the job after I moved to data engineering, Australian borders were closed for longest time. And Canada, the temperature and all is something which I don't prefer at all. So my after weighing all my four countries option, only option left to live was UK. And it was quite a journey because when I decided that okay, I have to move to UK, I started doing my research uh, because that time I only had not many followers on LinkedIn, and I really didn't know where to start because I was just scoping from my transition from data analyst to data engineering, and I didn't know what to
Mm-hmm.
do. So I started just reaching out to people on LinkedIn with simple short notes and asking for just for virtual coffee, just to know the market, what people work, what people look like when they are working in this country, just to know the depth of the knowledge gap if I have any,
Mm-hmm.
because I was not asking for referral. I was not asking for anything. I was just asking for just simple virtual coffee. Like this podcast, we are just doing it. And I came to know that, okay, as a data engineer, these are the things people are doing. As a data analyst, these are the people are doing. These are the hiring manager's expectations. Sometimes I never talk directly that this person is a hiring manager or not, if this person is, but I filtered out people with the expertise they have. Sometimes I reach out to recruiters, sending the cold message that, hi, I'm Disha, I'm trying to move to UK, but I would like to know if you can join on a virtual call just to discuss what you do on day-to-day basis, just to learn more of your job. Not every message came through as a reply, but those few people came back, and it was kind of nice thing because for first time in my life I got few mentors who helped me coach my life as a working professional, and that was something very much changed my life altogether.
Yeah, and this is really brave. And I would say, I think people don't realize the power of the network and what we can do. So, you told me that you reach out for over 1,000 people on LinkedIn, right? People you
Yes.
didn't even know.
No.
You just reach out to them based on like the location. They're in the UK, and they
Yeah.
were either recruiters or people working in data.
Yeah.
And you just reach out and say, hey, I just want a virtual coffee to get to know a little bit. You didn't ask them, hey, can you refer me to a job or can you help me with something very specific?
No.
Rather than, hey, let's just meet and talk. I just want to hear from you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes, that's it. Because most I see this is a gap when people reach out to me on LinkedIn right now. Also, there's a gap because people reached out and they have a motive in their mind, which makes the other person not helping. Even though they want to help, they don't want to help, and that's a innate human nature, I guess. That if you say like you don't say hi, how are you, and just you go and say like I'm asking for it, not a single human person will try to help you because you are asking for something which is not possible. So everything in my life is on relation which I build with other people. So you have to build that relation. If it can give you something back, it cannot give you something back, but if you have a motive in your mind like I want to have referral right now, and you don't give your context, you don't give your anything to that person, that that person can't relate to you at all. So that's what
Yeah.
happened. So if you reach like, hi Disha, uh, I saw this opening at your company, can you refer me? I will think of referring you, but I will not think of referring you because there is a lack of personal message in that.
hmm So, what would be the right way to reach out to you? Let's say, I mean, we're talking theoretically. Let's
Yeah.
say someone want to reach out, whatever, to you or someone else, and they want them to refer them. So, what would be a personable way that they can do
Uh,
that?
so personal way will be like, try to know that person, and then on that call or somewhere you ask that referral. That is an
Yeah.
ideal way of doing it, but not many people can do that. So that's where lacking happen. And if you really want referral right away, I will encourage people to go on meetups, because you don't know how many people have met in London during meetup. and I was not looking for a job. But if that person come to me, or other person come to, I go to the other person and they tell you that this is my role and all, they can tell you, oh, this is the role which is open in my other department, I can put you through that person. So even if you don't get a referral from that person, or that you cannot get sponsor from that person, there is another person who will be recommended by that person. So if you always have the ulterior motive of getting referral, just don't ask straight away. Show that you have the worth in you, and people will
Mm-hmm.
always give you the referral that you need.
Yeah.
Because in UK or anywhere in the world, there's a referral bonus which
Mm-hmm.
everyone gets. So why I will not refer you if I'm getting something out of it also? But it should be personal. It should not be something like you have to do it, otherwise I will not talk to you like that. So it should be something personal.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, when I moved to the US, what I did, I mean, I met people for coffee. I mean, it was before, everything was on Zoom, but I met kind of people in person, and I invested the time to get to know them, what they do, and so forth. And then if I needed some help, I would reach out. But I think that's a better way just to build. I know it takes more time, but it's more effective, right? Building relationship, getting to know people. They know you, you know them a little, even if it's just a little bit, before jumping on, oh, this is what I need from you. Like,
Yeah,
and it's a complete stranger and you just reach out to them, I need something for you. Or in my experience, what happens to me a lot is like people want to sell me something, right? I mean, hey, I can do this for you. I don't know them. They just reach out to me and immediately they try to sell me something. And that's a complete turn off to me as well. Like, I
yeah,
don't know you. Why would I buy something from you?
you have to be personal.
Yeah,
If you are selling also,
exactly.
you have to be personal. Like, can you tell me your challenges? And if your challenge is something fitting with their product, they can sell it. But if they are not going through your challenges and just selling you something, it doesn't make sense. Whether
I
it's
know.
a job referral or a product.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to invest more time in building relationships. I mean, I think that kind of the gist of all of it. And also another thing that you mentioned, right? You reach out to over 1,000 people, and then eventually it came to like handful of people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get a lot of responses, and
No.
you have to be able to face it, right? I mean, to face, I don't know if to call it rejection or just to face like, well, people may not
No,
respond,
no.
and that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Uh, because if you see LinkedIn, not every person goes to LinkedIn every day. Few goes, but not every person goes it. And also, you are reaching out to a stranger out of blue. So I recommend, if you're reaching out to a person, just send a note when you are reaching out to person, which makes more relatable. Not every time you can do it, but if you think that is a possible person who can help you in your career, send a note.
Yeah.
That makes it little bit personal to relate you. Because if a person reaches out to me on LinkedIn nowadays, and if they write 2 lines also without motive, I will accept that invite then and there, because I know, okay, this person has done some research before sending out this network request. So if you have something, you think that this person can help you in one way or another way later in life, just send a personal note which will make them relate to you and accept that request. Apart
Yeah.
from that, if you are going again, and they came back, and you have to play with the messages also. Earlier when I started, I remember that I used to write this long message, and it didn't work. It didn't work for longest time. Then I one person on my LinkedIn got back to me, and she agreed to me with me on this call that, okay, I will come to the call. And she helped me craft this message, and it was a small succinct message. And when I got mentored with this person, it helped me to see that what people in the UK or Netherlands are looking for. They are not looking for a lengthy message, because no one has time for this. So you have your 10-second, 20-second time. And
Yeah.
my message was succinct now. I get more replies back than the first message which I tried out. Then I refined it later on also. So there are iteration you go with the time. You learn that okay, this line is working, this line is not working. Can I remember it? And eventually you get the response you get. If you send 1,000 message, you don't think that 700 will come back, but you will get 50 back, and those 50 are really wanted to talk to you. That's why they invested you, because they saw your personal note coming in. Then once they accept your request, you send a message, and then sometimes they come back with a reply that okay, I'm okay with this call, and you arrange the call. Don't bother them. That then when you send a message, you ask for what you really need to book the call. So ask for email and whatnot, time, and be succinct on that one also, and then go forward and have a call and give some time for fallback also.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that today I would say that I see that not just in UK and Netherlands, I mean, globally, people in general, myself included, are, our attention span is getting shorter. We don't have the patience to read long messages, and just be brief, kind
Yeah,
of get get the same kind of information in a shorter message, which is usually hard, right? I mean, it's hard
yeah,
to how can you be very very succinct, as you said, and get your message across.
yeah.
And
Crafting a
I want
message
to
is
go.
important.
Yes, for sure.
Mm.
And try and see what works, what doesn't work, and adjust, right? But kind of what you said, be personable, right? Be a human being.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
lots of ChatGPT.
And I want to talk a little bit about your job search, because you mentioned like you were searching and interviewing in 2022.
Yeah.
Um, share a little bit about the process and how it went for you.
Oh, yeah. So my job, which I landed here in Big Spark as consultant, was due to one of the network I made. So that's the power of networking, I can say. Before that, also, I used to reach out to people. And when you reached out to people, sometimes you started looking into the people's feed also, and people can see that she's here. And eventually I was getting the recruiter's message also in mails like, I saw your profile and I might think you are a good fit for this role. So I gave some about 20 interviews, the chance of interviews. On that one, few were not, even though I was giving interviews, there are companies which was not sponsoring visa. And because I was learning on my way also, at start I never asked that they are sponsoring visa or not, and I used to give the interview just like that. So
Mm,
this helped me to learn that what I should ask. So in later interviews, when I have been very pertinent about confirming that okay, are you providing sponsorship, they said yes, and then only I gave the interview. So even though more people are coming back with the job thing, I confirm that this is the thing which people are sponsoring, and then only I used to give interviews so that it saved my time also.
yeah.
Because going through 3 rounds of interview at least while giving data engineering or data analyst interview, uh, you are saving your time and mental space also. So I have been very clear, like, okay, if you are not giving sponsorship, I'm not going any much further than that. So that's happened. Eventually, I got a job, moved to UK, worked for this company. It was a nice company. Then again, I got poached by another company where I'm right now working, just because I have been visible on LinkedIn and recruiters can see that I possess the skills. So,
Hmm.
first thing, if you're looking for a job, make your resume say what you really do. Optimize your LinkedIn, because you have to optimize your LinkedIn. You can't do anything because LinkedIn is your digital resume. Your resume comes later, but LinkedIn comes first. So optimize your resume, LinkedIn, and then once you have everything in right place, right order, you start looking for a job, and that will help you.
Yeah, I very much agree with you. It helped me as well. I mean, when I was in the US and I got reached by many companies, having a strong LinkedIn profile that accurately represents you and who you are and what you can do for companies is really powerful. I would say
Yeah,
also being active, somewhat active on LinkedIn is really needed.
yeah,
It's not enough just to have a good profile, so you need to be there.
yeah.
I'm not saying every day, but you need to be there. You need to,
They
I don't know, at least comment and share stuff, if not write some things occasionally.
Yes.
And that helps as well. Do you have, by the way, Disha, any interview tips for women who are interviewing for data engineering roles?
Uh, if I must say, when you're interviewing, you can do your best, because most of the female, including me, I had an imposter syndrome that we don't apply for a job if we don't see a fit of 100% in that role. And that's one of the major things which stops us to get really the interview which we want. So even you think that you match around 70-80% of your job aspect, apply for it. Apply for it. You can learn, because I have learned many things in my ongoing jobs. It was on job training. Like, I moved to data engineering from data analyst, and I only had a small course from Udemy. And everything I have learned, every cloud technologies I have learned, every big data tool I have learned was on job. So don't panic, apply for the job. At least if you get rejected, you know that what skill you have to work through, you can go back and work through. Try to focus on stakeholder management questions apart from technical, because people always focus on technical interviews and they forget about stakeholder management and behavioral interviews thing. And this is a big thing when you work with European and US client. That was not one of the major thing in India, but stakeholder management and behavioral interviews is one of the major thing here. So
Hmm.
prepare for that, because I remember one of the behavioral interviews which I worked on, interviewed for. I gave one of the shittiest answers because I didn't know how to answer it. So always give the interview, make note of it, reiterate what you have done and not done properly, refine it, and prepare for next interviews, because in this job market it's very hard to get a job right away. With 1 to 2 interviews you have to go and further work around. Improve your skills, how you portray your answers will make a difference.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you gave a bad answer. Do you have any tips, kind of what not to say? I mean, if you remember, what was it, or not even
uh,
specifically, but kind of what to be aware of?
so I think there was a question on how you manage your conflict with your colleague. And because I was just learning how things are, and I never expected that question to come for me. So I just answered like a small junior person, and the answer was not that answer they expect me to give. And I didn't realize for longest time that this was fault at my place. Then I started looking for the videos YouTube, that if you have this question, and then because that was my
Okay.
first behavioral round question also. I cleared all this thing, but I got rejected because of behavioral round. So that happened. Then I understand, oh, behavioral round is as important as your technical round, and you have to prepare your skills and align those things according to your JD and the issues you have gone through. So how you answer was one of the important thing you have to do. So that was our learning, because I told you that behavioral round was not much of a big
Yeah.
deal in India. So I
Hmm.
never gave that behavioral round, and I never ex- got that thing. Oh, you have done it very wrongly. You should not, because I could have done better, but I didn't.
That's okay.
But
We all learn from mistakes, so that's perfectly normal. Yeah. So you're saying that the behavioral interviews is as important, and you kind of learn from YouTube.
yes, there are
Yeah.
videos. Means you have to craft your answers according to your use cases, but at least that
Yes.
will help you to craft like how you can answer it. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are doing the stakeholder management, how you are doing the stakeholder management in your current job. You do it daily, but you have to craft a message which is clear. Or if you have a
Definitely.
conflict with your manager or colleagues, how you do it. So now I know how to answer it.
Yeah, I would say that you have to really think about some experiences that you had in your career and give the thing that, when I was interviewing as a hiring manager, I always ask for examples because you can create a perfect answer for pretty much everything, right? And learn how people want to be, what they want to
Mhm.
hear. But a good interviewer will usually ask you, can you give me an example? And
Yeah.
then you really have to think of something that actually happened to you. So, because I want to be convinced that you actually walk the talk and not just making up some
Mm.
answer I want to hear. So I always
Yes.
encourage people think about things can be little even that happen to you in your career. It could be around conflicts. It could be about stakeholder management, about relationship management at work, right? I mean, stakeholder management, how you work with your manager, and think about those small things even that happen to you and how you were able to face them, even
Yes.
things that didn't go as well, but at least you learned from,
Yes.
and collect them as stories that you can share during interviews. Because if someone I will ask to give me an example, and they will give me an example even of something that they didn't do so well, but they will say, this is what I've done. It wasn't the greatest response, but I learned from it. And in the future, I will behave differently.
Yeah.
It shows me that the person has the understanding
Yes.
and that they are willing to learn and adapt. So even
Yeah.
if you didn't handle it perfectly, but at least you have the awareness, that's really, really powerful and important.
Yes. So I think retrospective is one of the major things. When you are giving your answer, think of how you can give it as like, if there was a one interviewer who asked me like, Disha, if you have now everything you have done, if you go back and change one thing, what you will do. So if you go through and that time you didn't do well, but if you in retrospective you can improve anything, is something which is good, I guess.
Absolutely. And before we end our call, I mean, looking forward, what are kind of your next goals? Where do you plan to get to
uh,
next?
for me, I would like to move to leadership role, because uh, I wanted that role for longest time, and it's been time now that I should go and try this.
Mm-hmm.
And it move in my career, like I wanted that uh, engineering degree that I had done, move to tech industries I had done, move to UK, which was one of the um, big achievement in my life. That's I had done. Now I always crave for leadership role, because in this entire career, I never had a female leader as my manager. And I crave that. I want to do that manager for my female colleagues. And that's something I care about. And that's what I want to do, work around. So that's something I crave. I know that I might not at that stage right now, but I'm working towards it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Disha. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And before we end, how can people find you?
They can reach me on LinkedIn. If they go for Disha Mukherjee, I think I will be on top. And
Okay,
if they want to join any call, also there's a link there. They can join, make a booking, and we can have a talk. Or
that's wonderful.
just send me a DM that I heard you here, and we have a virtual coffee. I'm up for always that one.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll definitely put your LinkedIn URL on the show notes. And for anyone listen to us today, if you want to reach out, Disha, she
Yeah.
will be happy to have a virtual coffee with you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Disha, for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode with Disha. And before we wrap up today's episode, I have something special to share with you. Next week, I'm speaking with someone who is not only a brilliant engineer, but also re engineer the way we think about success and growth. Dagda Bide started her career building robots and writing code. But after reaching a breaking point in her engineering career, she realized it was time for a major change. And in this episode, we dive deep into the hidden bugs in our mental programming that can hold us back, from imposter syndrome to burnout. And Dagna shares her brain refactor method to help you reprogram your mind for success. So if you ever felt stuck wondering if there's a way to debug your mindset, you don't want to miss next week's episode. As always, if you liked the episode with Disha, share it with anyone you think it's going to be valuable for, and hit subscribe button for this podcast to never miss an episode and get notification when a new episode is dropped. Thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful day.